The Call continues from generation to generation with Don Gessner from Gessner Ministries, a podcast dedicated to exploring the uniqueness of a person's call to ministry.
Elliott Storey, I am so excited to have you on the podcast today. The previous podcasts that I've done, we've always had people in ministry that have done it for a while. And I thought, oh, how neat it would be to have someone who is just beginning their ministry journey. And the reason for that is I've been emphasizing the call on these episodes. And the call is such an important piece to ministry. It's more than a career choice. And so I thought, wow, yeah, let's do something with someone who is on the very front end of that. And so that's what we're doing today. But tell me, you're just probably getting home from Olivet for the Thanksgiving season, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I actually got home this past night. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to this. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of present the younger ministers' kind of perspective in this. And yeah, just got home from Olivet last night and ready to relax a little bit for Thanksgiving here.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks for taking the time to share. I want to give our viewers just a little bit of background because that's the one piece that's really special for me because I've known your family even before you were born. And that goes back to the year 2001 when Cheryl and I and Eric as well had moved here to Indianapolis. And it wasn't long after that we got acquainted with your mom and dad. And then your mom came on staff and served as my administrative assistant. And we did that for about 8 years. Then we moved to Ohio, but we came back here to Indianapolis again, and we connected right back up in that same way. And so I've known your family a long time, and I've watched you grow from this little bubbly child to the young man that you are today. And so I'm interested because you are a junior at Olivet Nazarene University, majoring in youth ministries, and I want you to share with me, what does the call look like for you?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I think that backstory gives a good painting of a picture of our knowledge of each other. But the call for me, I think it is, it's more than just something that we do vocationally, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. I think we all have a call. I think it's not just something pastors or people in ministry get. We as Christians, we as people of God, all have received the same call given to us in Matthew 28, the Great Commission of go and make disciples of all nations.
Yes.
And I think that's our common denominator right there. That's our call. Anything outside of that is where the Lord is directing us in that call. But I think on paper we all share the same call.
Yeah, and how does that look for you as far as how God has been guiding you in that call?
Yeah, so to kind of give the story of my call, it actually roots back to how you and I met, actually. So growing up, my parents were very involved in the church, serving every Sunday, whether that be in a music aspect or even down to pro presenter, like little things like that.
Yes.
Whatever you can do to help serve the church, my parents were really good about doing that.
They were amazing at that.
And with that, you as a kid, you got to be at church early. It's the name of the game. Your parents are there, you're there.
Sure.
So my brother and I, we got into quite a bit of trouble just exploring churches growing up, just because what else is there to do while your parents are setting up? But with that, I kind of grew to understand the heart of what ministry actually looks like, and really admired my parents for it, but also understanding the why of why we as little kids are there early, but also why they as adults are willing to get up early and set up a church plant on a Sunday morning in the middle of an elementary school. So there's a lot to it of the why and the where it all rubs off, I guess. And I think it rooted in that for me of the why is we felt this call. How can we live out this call that we've been given?
Yes.
And I would say in my personal development, growing up, my dad was actually our interim youth pastor there for a few months at a time. So to see him step into a role that he necessarily, I don't know that he would call himself called to that role, but to see that he would step into that and just be the person he needed to be for the kingdom in that moment was super cool.
That was beautiful.
But just all kinds of little moments like that. So we ended up moving to some different churches through the progression, and actually we wouldn't necessarily follow you, but it just ended up that we ended up at the same place numerous times. So I wouldn't say following is the right word, but just God worked it out to where we had been in the same place numerous times together. And you're another really good example of somebody who's leaning into the call, wherever that looks like. So I guess for me personally, we can kind of dive into that of what my call looks like and how it was rooted, I guess. So I talked about watching my parents do it so faithfully. We'll kind of jump to my high school years. I was a pretty active member in the youth group I was attending. I was kind of the worship leader of youth group, we can call it. Picking songs, running rehearsals, doing all the kinds of things that you do to make a worship team run on a Sunday night. And I found a lot of enjoyment out of that. I felt like I was good at it. And just I grew up playing drums in church, doing all that kinds of stuff, and I learned to have a heart for music and for using the gifts that I've been given to glorify the Lord. But it came to a roadblock of where towards the middle of high school, I was kind of living a double life, honestly, of I was doing all the things right at church, but when it came to things outside of church, I wasn't necessarily living the life that I should have been living. And it came to the point where people found out, right? Everything hit the fan, and it wasn't good for me or for anybody involved. And I can say that and take responsibility for the things I did, for the actions I had, but I think it was a learning experience for me of, if you're going to do the Christianese thing, you got to live the life of a Christian. You can't just do the things on Sunday morning, Sunday night. And I think that was the biggest thing for me in my personal spiritual development. You can know a lot about God, but if you don't know the character of Jesus Christ, it doesn't do you any good.
No.
I hate that it takes something to hit the fan for that to happen, but it sometimes does. And in my case, I think it honestly shaped my call even more of growing up, seeing my parents do the thing, diving into worship stuff, really feeling good about that, and then doing things I shouldn't be doing, I knew were wrong. And then really falling back on the church. That's where I learned, I think, my call right now of call to youth ministry. That's what it is. It starts and ends with relationship. Everything starts and ends with relationship. And my youth pastor at the time, he saw me in the stupid things I did, and he said, "Hey, we shouldn't be doing those, but I'm going to love on you anyways, and we're going to work through this together." And I think he just was a great example in that way.
Yeah. There's a couple of things that were interesting to me as you were sharing that. Number one is the mentorship thing was present in your life. So that's very real, whether it was your parents, the youth pastor, or someone else. The The bigger thing, though, that I think I hear above everything else is, in the end, you had a heart that wanted to obey God. And it's because of that obedience that it literally kept leading you to the next thing and the next thing, as God just helps you to understand fully what the call is about in your life.
Yeah,
And
no, totally.
and I am so thrilled because I personally have gotten to watch now from a distance, as you're, away from the local church here. You're at Olivet University. But I've gotten to watch how God is growing you. And that wouldn't be happening unless you have a heart that is seeking Him, and one that is obedient to Him. And so it's just absolutely thrilling for me to watch. Let me ask you this, Elliott.
Yeah.
You're around a lot of other young people, and there's young people that will be watching this episode. What would you say to them, just even in your short time of what you've been experiencing in your call to ministry? What could you say to them that might be helpful in their journey?
Yeah, that's good. Something to another young person pursuing relationship with Christ. I'm gonna botch this quote. I'm not sure who necessarily spoke this, but the phrase "long obedience in the same direction" has been a huge kind of push on my life. While it is a day-to-day decision of, Lord, I'm going to follow you, I'm going to lean into your will today, some days it's not going to happen. And I think that's something we need to understand as Christians. We're human beings, we're flawed, and the pursuit's not going to be perfect.
Sure.
So I think that's something we as Christians need to, I wouldn't say normalize, but I want to say understand.
Yeah, because if you don't understand, you might just say, "Oh, what's the use? Throw up your hands and quit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, relating it to like a sport, you can't have one day of a bad practice. You can't have you can't let one bad game ruin your career, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
So long obedience in the same direction, living a life of pursuit has been huge. Pursuit isn't something that ever stops in my mind. It's a constant chase.
Sure. That is awesome. Let me ask you just one final question before we end this episode today.
Yeah.
Let's just imagine for a moment you're now 10 or 15 years into your journey. How do you think that your call might have impacted you now that we're imagining that you're 10, 15 years down the road?
If I'm 10 or 15 years down the road and I'm looking back at my call, I'm kind of doing this right now, honestly, that I can look back and see my call and how it's shaped where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm thankful that everything hit the fan.
Uh-huh.
Like in that moment, you're like, man, it's terrible. Like, why did this have to happen? Like, but in the end, it was the Lord's will that He called out that I was living a life of sin, that I needed to be pulled back into His will and not my own.
It was a wake-up call for sure, wasn't it?
The wake-up call, yes. And I think a lot of us need that.
Yeah.
And I think some of us are afraid of the wake-up call, which is fair. It's a scary thing. But the wake-up call is the best thing that's ever going to happen to you. Without that wake-up call, I don't know that I would be anywhere close to where I am right now. I think I would be still going down the same road, struggling with the same things and pursuing the wrong things than not the Lord. So I think I'm kind of feeling the same way right now. Like I said, that I'm thankful that everything hit the fan, but I think it's still going to be a thankfulness then. I also think that for me, college was not something I ever saw happening. And for me, I think I'm not a very academically inclined person. Like school is tough for me. I got to
Sure.
work for school.
Sure.
But I think me stepping into college, me stepping into school, trying to further pursue not just a relationship with Christ, but further equip myself for the call that the Lord has given me. I think I'm going to be grateful that I was willing to step into that.
Oh, my word. That is such a good thought. It really is, because there's no question in ministry, you are going to be placed under uncomfortable circumstances
Yeah.
over and over again. And to just be able to see that, understand that it's just something that's going to be very helpful to you in your growing experience through the many years that you will have in ministry. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Elliott, I am so grateful that we got to have this interview today, and I got to see you again. Man, I love you. You are doing an incredible job, and I'm just praying for God to bless your ministry as you continue and pursue whatever it is He's doing in your life. And it's great to see you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks again, Don.
You bet.
I hope the stories of the call to ministry will inspire you. Please take a moment to like and hit the share button as we prepare for the next episode.